6 months ago, I had $200 in my checking account, 3 maxed credit cards, and a very clear picture of what financial failure looks like from the inside. Today, that same system I built from scratch, starting with nothing, generates over $10,000 every single month without me trading hours for dollars. I'm not telling you that to impress you. I'm telling you because the exact path is repeatable, the steps are specific, and almost none of it requires what you've been told you need. Here's what the mainstream financial world gets catastrophically wrong about passive income. They keep telling you that you need money to make money. Invest in index funds. Max your 401k. Buy real estate. All of that assumes you're starting with capital. What do you do when you're not? What do you do when the gap between where you are and where those strategies begin is so wide it feels like a different universe? That's where I was. And that's exactly why what I figured out matters. The first thing I had to demolish was a belief. The belief that passive income was something you built after you already had money. That's not income independence, that's just investing. Real passive income is when you build an asset that generates value independently of your time, and those assets don't have to cost anything to create. I started with digital products, specifically templates, guides, and systems that solve a very particular problem for a very particular person. The math on digital products is almost embarrassingly favorable once you see it. You create something once. It costs you nothing to duplicate. Every sale after the first is essentially pure margin. When I launched my first product, a project management template for freelancers, I priced it at $27. In the first 30 days, it sold 61 times. That's $1,647 from one thing I made in a weekend. I wasn't a designer. I wasn't a developer. I understood a problem and built a simple solution to it. But platform selection. This is where most people quietly destroy their chances before they even begin. I tested 3 different marketplaces before I found the one where my audience actually lived. The wrong platform doesn't just underperform, it actively misdirects you. You think your product isn't working when really your product never reached a qualified buyer. Take the time to research where your specific type of product sells, look at what's already performing in that space, and position accordingly. That research probably saved me 4 months of wasted effort. Here's the rule I gave myself that changed everything. I did not touch a second income stream until the first one hit $800 a month consistently. Not $800 one month, consistently. That discipline is uncomfortable, but it's the difference between building something real and collecting half-started projects. Most people I've talked to who've tried this and failed weren't doing the wrong things. They were doing too many things too soon. Focus is a multiplier that nobody talks about. Email. I almost skipped it entirely. Every piece of content I consumed told me social media was the move, that reach was everything, that follower count was the metric that mattered. What nobody told me is that an email list is an asset you own and social reach is an asset you rent. When I finally started building a list, around month 2, I was already behind. But I built it fast, grew it to about 200 people in 6 weeks by offering a free companion resource to my paid product. And then that list became a direct line to revenue every single time I sent an email. My list now generates roughly $4,000 a month through a combination of direct product sales, affiliate recommendations, and a low-cost membership. If I had skipped email, I would have left the majority of my income on the table. The second stream was licensing, and this one surprises people. Most assume licensing is what companies do with patents or what musicians do with songs. But any individual with a skill, a process, a framework, or a piece of intellectual property can license it. I licensed one of my template systems to a small agency that wanted to use it with their clients. They paid me a flat monthly fee. I did nothing after the initial agreement. That single deal brought in $600 a month for 8 months before the contract renewed. Licensing is underused at the individual level because most people don't realize they have something worth licensing. You probably do. Month 4 is when the compounding started to feel real. Not like something I'd read about, but something I could see. The email list was generating sales on its own. The digital products were ranking organically in their respective marketplaces. The licensing deal was passive by definition. I added a third product based on demand signals I was seeing from my existing buyers, priced it higher at $79, and it sold more consistently than the $27 product. There's a counterintuitive truth here. The price you charge shapes how buyers perceive the value before they even open the product. Underpricing can actually hurt sales. Most people quit too early, and they quit for one specific reason. They measure the wrong thing at the wrong time. In month 1, revenue feels slow. Engagement feels low. The math doesn't seem to be working. But what you're actually building in month 1 is infrastructure. The platform presence, the email foundation, the audience relationship. If you measure month 1 by month 6 standards, you'll quit before the compounding has any chance to activate. Measure correctly for the stage you're in. By month 6, here's what a typical week looked like. I checked my dashboard on Monday morning. Sales had come in over the weekend while I was completely offline. Email revenue from a sequence I'd written once, 3 months prior, was still converting. The licensing payment had auto-processed. I had a few support messages to handle, maybe 45 minutes of work. That's it. That's what passive actually looks like. Not zero work, but work that's deeply disproportionate to the income it generates. The total by the end of month 6 was $10,400 in a single month. Broken down, digital products across 2 marketplaces brought in $4,800. Email-driven revenue between my own products and affiliate income was $3,900. Licensing brought in $700 for that month. Those numbers aren't theoretical. They're from my actual dashboard screenshots that I still have saved. What I want you to take away from this is not just the tactics, but the sequence. Start with one income stream. Make it work before you expand. Build the email list from day 1, not later. Understand that the asset you create doesn't have to be complicated. It has to be useful to a specific person with a specific problem. Price it correctly. Place it where your buyer already is. And then do not quit when month 1 feels slow, because month 1 is always slow. The financial system most people are operating inside of was designed for one outcome: to keep you dependent on a paycheck. That's not a conspiracy. It's just structural. The exit from that structure has never been more accessible. The tools, the platforms, the reach, all of it exists right now. The only question is whether you're going to build something with it or keep waiting until you have the capital, the credentials, or the perfect moment that never quite arrives. Start with one thing, build it until it works, then build the next one. That's the whole system. Simpler than you expected and harder than it sounds. But the people who do it find out pretty quickly that they can't go back to the way things were before.